Something's brewing. Something serious. Something dangerous. It's in Scotland, but it's also here. So I'm stuck. Some of you might know that I am on the run. Well, around New Year's every year, my entire family is able to come on the run. We all go on the run together. It's the only time that everybody is able to make time in their busy schedules to elude the authorities together. So we do these kind of New Year's trips every year. And being from Florida, my family's in Florida, you usually just hop, skip into the Keys, down into the Caribbean, for a couple days around New Year's, find a beach somewhere, maybe get in a boat. Right? The only issue is that now I am stuck. There are worse things to have happen than be stuck in paradise. But we are stuck because the United States decided to just capture the president of Venezuela and shut down the airspace in the Caribbean. So my flight got canceled due to surprise military actions. So I've had a weird couple of days. Anyways, on the run until further notice. You know who else has had a weird couple of days? Celtic. Because, as you might be surprised to learn, Celtic is not stuck at the top of the table. They're not stuck like me waiting for the end of the world to come here, except they are waiting for the end of the world to come because now this is the Scottish table. At the time that I am sitting here recording this for you, Hearts is top of the table by 6 points. Hearts of Midlothian, a team that has not won the league since 1960. Now, I realize most of you probably are not paying attention to the Scottish Premiership, not the Scottish Premier League. I just typed that anyways. I am. There is an incredible lack of variety. List of Scottish football champions. This is the page that I was looking for to illustrate to you how ridiculous the Scottish Premiership is. Okay. Celtic, Rangers, Celtic, Rangers, Celtic, Rangers. Aberdeen, coached by Sir Alex Ferguson. That's the last team. There was not Celtic or Rangers to actually go out and win the Scottish League. Now you see Heart of Midlothian here, Aberdeen, Heart again, Motherwell. This is, runners up, third place. These teams are getting close, but it has always been Celtic or Rangers, right? Motherwell right here, St. Johnston getting involved. Aberdeen had a nice run. It's been Celtic or Rangers exclusively in the top two for the last, 7 years, all the way back to 2018, since the top two was cracked by a pretty darn good Aberdeen side. So Celtic's got 55 championships. Rangers has 55 championships. Who's going to win the 56th? That was the question coming into the season. And then Hearts of Midlothian, Hearts is 6 points clear. Rangers just beat Celtic in the Old Firm, one of the finest derbies to ever grace a pitch. And that has given Hearts a 6-point advantage after they beat Livingston, who's in last place 1-0. Apparently, rather nerve-wracking experience, but they did manage to go out and pick it up. So congrats to them. I know your next thought. How many matches do they play? 38 somehow. Even though it's a 12-team league, they play every other team 3 times, then split the league in half and play everybody once after the league splits in half. So that would be top 6, bottom 6. Now, if you look at last year's table, you'll see that Hearts didn't even make the top 6. They ended up finishing 7th in the league by winning the relegation group on 52 points for the entire season. But by the time they entered into that, they were 7th at the time, 1 point behind St. Mirren in trying to get into the top 6. They had 40 points. This season, they have 44. In 20 matches, they've won 13 of them. In fact, they've only lost 2. Celtic has lost 4 more matches than Hearts has. Right? Rangers has somehow lost the same number, but they've drawn 3 more matches because they've only won half the matches they've played. They're just playing some version of haram ball. I don't know what's going on over there. Aberdeen has melted away. The normal third challenger is down in 8th. It is Hearts or no one. Except that's not true. You'll notice that Motherwell is there, and so is Hibernian. They are both within 4 points of Celtic and Rangers. And this is important because I'm going to go back a season again. The reason this is mainly possible is because Celtic and Rangers are ass this year, right? Rangers finished the group stage 13 matches away from where we are now with 66 points, which is pretty damn good. Celtic finished it with 81. They have 38 points. In 13 matches, they're supposed to be able to get to 81 points. That's where they were. So the first important ingredient in the nonsense happening in Scotland is the fact that Celtic and Rangers are worse. They're both doing worse, particularly Celtic, who's hired Wilfred Nancy and they've ended up in the wilderness. They have no idea what's going on. The second important ingredient is that Hearts is actually beating these teams. Let me show you Hearts' actual schedule. They've played Rangers twice already. They've beaten them both times. They've beaten them both times they played them. Here's a 2-1 on December 21st where Hearts beat Rangers. Here's a match against Celtic, by the way, while we scroll down, that they won 2-1 at Celtic. Right? I mean, look at the results they're getting outside of this. Hearts should be further ahead. This is where this story started to blow my mind. Right? If you break down where Hearts' points are coming from, they should be further ahead. This is a stretch of 4 matches in which they didn't pick up a win, including bad results against Dundee United and Kilmarnock. But they make up for it because they're doing it backwards. The way you're supposed to pull off this upset, eventually ending the tyranny of Rangers and Celtic that's existed for like damn near 50 years in Scotland. Sorry, 40 years. It's almost exactly 40 years. My bad. You're supposed to beat everybody else because Rangers and Celtic are still supposed to be better than you. Here's a win against Celtic. They've beaten Celtic both times they've played them. They've beaten Rangers both times they've played them. Here's the Rangers match. September 13th, 2-0 on the road. At home against Celtic, 3-1. I think they're actually going to do it. I'm dead serious. I mean, it's backwards. It doesn't make any sense, right? They're dropping points, obviously. Like that little stretch, they lost at Hibs. But they're beating the teams that they need to beat. And they've got a match against Celtic coming up on January 25th that is their last match of the league phase against Celtic. And then they go to Ibrox on the 15th of February. And they play at Rangers. And then if the league splits, there are 5 matches left, and they will have to play each of those teams one more time, it is likely. Scotland's pretty brutal that way. You have to play, if you're going to go win the league, you're going to have to play Celtic and Rangers 4 times apiece. But you know what's crazy? Like the craziest sentence I can come up with for you in this situation is that even if Celtic and Rangers beat Hearts in both matches, each of their matches for the rest of the season, they will have had an even draw on points with Hearts. That's crazy. Even. Hearts would have beat them twice. They would have beaten Hearts twice. It would literally be even. Just straight back and forth, even. And that's unlikely to happen. Hearts is very likely to win the points battle against Celtic and Rangers over the course of the season. If you do that, you should be able to win the league. If you do that, you should be able to win the league. Those are the 2 teams. They're clearly underachieving this year, and Hearts is a big reason they are, because Hearts keeps kicking their ass. And just when I thought that I couldn't love them anymore, they've had a great January transfer window. Not only did they sign a right back, this guy named Jordi Alpena, who apparently had a nice cross win against Livingston was their last match. They've also brought in a winger from Kazakhstan named Islam Chesnikov, who, according to Tony Bloom's Jamestown Analytics, he can make, which is one of those scouting analytics companies, he can make an instant impact. They're also apparently looking at a new striker. So they've already got a right back. They've signed a winger from Kazakhstan. They're improving the team. They're not resting on their laurels. They're not afraid. And then the most damning thing, I was reading this BBC article just to get a better idea of the team, is a guy, Michael Stewart, who's on BBC Scotland's Sports Sound. It's like a TV program in Scotland, I guess. And this is what he said. Hearts are outstanding in the first half and should have been up 4-0 on the match with Livingston. Nervous in the second half, but they see it out. They defend their box, throw bodies in the way. The goalkeeper comes up with big saves. Celtic capitulate as soon as there's a bit of pressure on them in the second half. They have no character, no identity. They're all over the shop. The polar opposite of Hearts. So not only is Hearts showing the ability to beat the best teams, not only is Hearts going out and trying to make its team better by filling an apparently massive hole at right back, by bringing in another talented attacking player that some analytics company says is going to be great, by also looking potentially at adding another striker to the mix to try and add to the team for the stretch run, which now includes less than 20 games. Right? They've played 20 of 38 total matches. They have played Rangers and Celtic twice already and beaten them all 4 of those matches. They are showing the resolve and the character to be able to get these results now. And with every passing result, the way this is going to work mentally, there's just going to be more belief. They're 6 points clear. 6 points clear of Celtic and Rangers with 18 matches to play. If they go and take care of business against teams that aren't Celtic and Rangers, the league's theirs. And I guarantee you Celtic and Rangers, the way that they're playing, even though Rangers seems to be building a little momentum, they just beat Celtic. Celtic's coming on back-to-back losses here. They're going to drop points somewhere. Those points are going to be bleeding. They're thinking about firing Wilfred Nancy right after bringing him over from MLS. And I've obviously spent a lot of time around MLS. Wilfred Nancy is a very highly regarded coach. He's fabulous. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, how that's just exploded immediately into a ball of flames. But there is a lot of drama and chaos going over there. And as long as Hearts can skate away from that, holding on to 1-0 wins against various teams around the league while adding players that are going to make their team better, I'll say it again. I think they're the ones. I think we are looking at the first champion in Scotland that isn't Celtic or Rangers in 41 years. At the very least, a team that has like the best shot to do it in an incredibly long time, the way that they've set this up. So good for them. It's going to be exciting. Now, hopefully I'm not watching the rest of that entire season from a Caribbean island, because as much as I enjoy the sun and a pina colada, it would be nice to be able to leave. But, I don't know how many more Black Hawk helicopters with fucking Delta Force just kidnapping presidents are going to be zipping around here. But, yeah, that's fun. Loving that.